All the years I spent working with high-risk youth, I always told them, I was like, I can't ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. And they got to stand in it. And so that is what I did. I stood in what I did. And I let the chips fall wherever they may.
What he did was he murdered Fabio Sementilli. It was requested that he engage in this homicide by Monica Sementilli's lover, Robert Baker, to benefit Monica. Big payout, big life insurance policy, multi-million-dollar life insurance policy that would go to Monica if her husband was killed. Now, let's go back in and hear more of the cross-examination of the hitman.
I would object if counsel's going to read this. It's already been asked and answered.
I don't know what it is.
This is from the proffer. I'm asking if you told them, or you were asked when you first met Monica prior to the murder, for the first time at LA Fitness, and didn't you tell them it was 4 or 5 months before the murder, September or October of 2016? Didn't you say that?
Yes, sir.
So at some point in September or October of 2016, you went to LA Fitness with Rob, and you met Monica there in person, correct?
That's what I remember.
That was the first time you'd met her.
Objection cumulative.
Sustained.
So you didn't meet her in July at the Aria Hotel in 2016, did you?
Objection cumulative.
Sustained.
I can just have 1 minute, Your Honor, and maybe we can wrap this up. Is it a fair statement, Mr. Austin, that you've testified in this courtroom that you previously lied to the DA in Vancouver, correct?
Objection cumulative.
Sustained.
You lied to the DA and the detectives in the Perkins, correct?
Objection cumulative.
Sustained.
And now you're lying when you say that Monica Sementilli was involved in the planning and the murder of Mr. Sementilli. You're lying about that to get a deal, isn't that true?
No, sir, it is not.
And that deal, just so we're clear, is a plea to second-degree murder, correct?
Objection cumulative.
Sustained.
But I just want to ask, Your Honor, you understand when you made this deal that if they didn't agree, that you not only would not get the deal, but you could be charged with first-degree murder as well. You understood that?
Objection. Same facts, not evidence.
Sustained.
So you made the statements that we've gone through here today. You understood they had to be valuable to the prosecution, and then what happened? Did they offer you a deal right away?
Objection cumulative.
Sustained.
They had to go away and come back and then offer this deal to you that we've gone through several times, correct?
Objection cumulative.
Sustained.
And if you didn't take that deal, the consequences would be as we just discussed, correct?
Objection. Assumes facts, not evidence.
Sustained.
But, and I'll be done, Your Honor, but you understand that what the deal was based on is you testifying in court to what you testified to eventually in the proffer. Isn't that right?
Objection, again, assumes facts on evidence and misstates the testimony.
Sustained.
Do you really believe if you got up here and said, no, she wasn't involved and that's the truth, that somehow the judge would believe you and you go home?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
You knew you had to say that she was involved, that she got money, you had to, oh, by the way, I'm sorry. Are you charged with, in this, what you pled to, with financial gain? Getting a financial gain from the murder? They dropped that, didn't they?
Objection assumes facts on evidence.
Sustained.
Well, the charge that you pled with was second-degree murder with use of a knife, I believe.
Objection,
It's,
cumulative.
it's an exhibit.
Cumulative.
There's nothing in there.
I'll allow this.
There's nothing in there about financial gain, is there?
No, sir.
And you ended up getting as much financial gain as Mr. Baker did, didn't you?
Objection assumes facts on evidence and argument.
Sustained on the second ground.
Do you know why you're not charged with financial gain?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
That was part of the deal, that you would not be charged with that, isn't that true?
Objection, speculation assumes facts on evidence.
Sustained on both.
Thank you very much for your patience, Your Honor.
Will there be any recross?
That will. Sure.
All right.
Yes.
We're going to take our morning recess at this time. The admission applies. See you back here in 15 minutes. I'd like to have counsel remain momentarily, please.
Oh, you never end on an objection. You never do that. You ask another question that you're going to get an answer to. I don't care what it is. Just get an answer out of the witness and end on a high note. But I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot to say about this. I'm going to bring in our guest and go through this with him. He does trial team coaching as well. Cannon Kearney. This reminded me so much of what we do in law school mock trial. For those students who want to study trial advocacy, and for everybody at home, just know that not every lawyer knows how to try a case. You have to take the trial advocacy courses and learn. So here, the DA kept objecting. Like, Cannon, I'm going, okay, like maybe one objection, but I mean, to me, that felt like they wanted to hide something. I'm thinking, look, you got a hitman you called as your witness. Let him testify. Let him say what happened. What do you think, my friend?
100%, Julie. Again, it's very telling that every single question, speculative, every single question, cumulative, every single question. Now, the judge is siding with the prosecution. So I will say that, you know, although I didn't agree with each of the things that the judge sided with, he is giving them the space to continue to object because he continues to rule in their favor. But I will say, for a normal person, which is what a jury is supposed to be composed of individuals who may not know anything about the courtroom, if you are just looking at this, whether from court TV or actually in that courtroom, you would be thinking to yourself, why are you not allowing any questions? Why is it that everything that this gentleman is about to speak to, you are objecting to? So I would say that I agree with what you're saying. You should leave on a high note. You should have him at least answer one more question. But maybe his purpose being, he seems to be a very established defense attorney, was for the jury to see that the prosecution is doing everything that they can to ensure that the truth really doesn't come out today.
Right, Cannon, right. He definitely got on a roll there. It was a little clumsy, as you know, some of the questions were kind of clumsy and all of that. But the way the state looked so defensive, yeah, he might have just thought, you know what, in the moment, they're looking awfully defensive here, like they don't want this information out. I'm just going to end it right there. It felt abrupt. And you know, the state, I'm trying to harken back because full disclosure, I've seen this trial in pieces because of the time that it airs. And but I would imagine the state would have had to have brought this up on direct, right, Kid? I mean, they would have to bring up, sir, you know, what are you getting in exchange for this testimony? What is our agreement? What, you know, you knock that out at the front, right? So you avoid this on the back end from the defense attorney.
Yes, any attorney, whether prosecutor or defense, the best thing to do is to tackle the tough issues head on so that you can not have the other side to change the narrative. So here it would have been very advantageous for the prosecution in their direct to say, to walk the jury through exactly how they came to knowing this witness, why his importance is for him to be there testifying, and exactly to disclose any biases that he may have. So yes, the prosecution definitely should have did that on direct, but it's also the defense's side to poke any holes in the testimony that was previously given on the direct.
Great analysis. Ken and Gurney, thank you much. Stand by, please. We're going to hit a break, and then we're going to see the redirect. What is the state going to do to rehabilitate the witness? We'll find out together next.
Only when I am alone, and I wake up and I see your name on my phone.
It was made from the roommate's phone, excuse me, and we're not going to divulge who made that call.
So they came here together. They eventually get into the same apartment together.
Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I assume noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I know I talk about myself a lot, but like, what would you guys do in my situation?
And in the end, they died together.
New court documents in the Brian Kohberger homicide case reveal what was happening inside of the house when 4 University of Idaho students were killed. Text messages between the 2 surviving housemates show just how terrified they were. Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk were messaging each other saying things like, "No one is answering. I'm freaking out right now. So am I. Come to my room. Run." They kept texting their other roommates and calling them, but there was no answer. Dylan even made a reference to a masked man inside of their home. And prosecutors are asking the court to admit these text message exchanges. As we know, Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were murdered that night. Brian Kohberger's trial is scheduled to begin in August. Now, we turn back to the celebrity hairstylist murder trial for Monica Sementilli. She's accused of plotting with her lover and a hitman to murder her husband, Fabio. We're going to see the redirect examination now of that hitman, Christopher Austin.
When Detective Farrell first came to your cell to talk to you, he actually didn't bring up the name Monica to you then, right?
I believe he said woman.
Okay. In fact, he said a lady. We have your uncle and a lady in custody, right?
Yes.
So when you talked to your cellmate, who you believed to be a cellmate but was an undercover agent, you knew who the lady was, even though they didn't tell you Monica Sementilli. You knew who the lady was at that time. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you continued some of the conversations that we talked about yesterday when you spoke with your cellmate. You were referencing the defendant, and that's before anyone said her name. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Also, when you were up there at that time, when we were in Vancouver, again, not going through it, you asked to speak to me, but I know there's a lot of questions about it. You did repeatedly ask, said you wanted to go home and you wanted to see your girls, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go home?
No, ma'am.
Did you see your girls?
No, ma'am.
Well, you saw your wife at the station briefly though, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, defense counsel went through a couple different transcript excerpts with you when you were asking for a deal. And you did state words to the effect of, you wanted to go home, what kind of deal. And page 84, and this is what defense counsel went through before.
Line, please.
19. I said to you, I can't make you any promises or deals either today, but I can at least, just so you know that, do you want to think about it? That was at the beginning of our conversation when I spoke with you, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And just to be clear, you had already interviewed with the detectives at length, and you'd been in the cell with your undercover agent for hours. It was the end of the day, when all the interviews were over and you were done in the cell, that you asked to speak to me, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ask to speak to me because at that point you still were very stressed out, you wanted to see your family, you've been taken out of your car, and you were trying to see through me if I could help you with that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you asked me if you were being charged.
Yes, ma'am.
And we went on later in that conversation, and I told you again that yes, you are going to be charged.
Yes, ma'am.
During any of this time then, when you were asking if there's a deal, did myself or the detectives ever say, we need you to come to Los Angeles and testify against Monica Sementilli and tell us everything that she did? Did we ever say anything like that to you?
No, ma'am.
Did we ever make any promises to you that if you testify against Monica Sementilli, we'll give you a certain deal or you'll get to go home, anything of that nature?
No, ma'am.
In fact, the majority of the interview, was it even focused on Monica Sementilli, or was it focused on your role in what you did?
It
is.
Defense counsel also asked you about wanting to go to LA. Did you ask to go to Los Angeles?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a choice?
No, ma'am.
And in fact, did you ask me, am I being, the word was extradited, am I being extradited there? And I told you, yes, you are, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember asking if you could stay in Washington and do it virtual?
I do.
And you were told no, that you're going to LA and you're going to be charged.
Yes, ma'am.
When defense counsel asked you about testifying, there is one time that you asked me about testifying. And I told you, I don't know. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
We never talked, you or the detectives or myself, about testifying while we were in Washington. We never talked about that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Just touching on those gold coins, and I don't want to go back through it though. You testified where you saw them from. When Baker came to the car, he had a pillowcase you testified to, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if those coins are in the pillowcase?
I did not.
Do you remember anything about that pillowcase? What color it was, anything?
Like a tealish green? Not really. It wasn't a bright color.
Okay. But on that same drive then, when he came to the car with the pillowcase with items in it, that same course of actions when he gave you those gold coins and told you where he got them from, the safe. Is that accurate?
When he got in the car?
Yes.
He just got in the car with a pillowcase.
And then he gave you the coins at what point again?
When he dropped me off at the bus station.
Okay. And that's when he told you where they came from?
He told me to tell him they came from, if anybody asks, tell them they came from me. These come from the safe.
What do you think of the hitman in this testimony? Is it moving the ball forward for the prosecution? Remember, they've got the burden here. Monica Sementilli is cloaked in the presumption of innocence. We'll hit a break and then we'll go right back in Together Live.
It's a whodunit Hollywood story.
Monica Sementilli is accused of plotting to kill her husband.
Celebrity hairstylist Fabio Sementilli.
The celebrity stylist murder trial, today, only on Court TV.
This stuff about playing a race card is preposterous.
The racial division was so great that people saw the facts differently.
Trial and error. Why did O.J. win? New episode Sunday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
Not only was the defendant having an affair with Baker, but they were also swinging with other people. Her older daughter, Jessica, who you'll hear from, found Baker sleeping in the defendant's bed.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. Monica Sementilli definitely cheated on her husband, but did she kill him? That's the question for the jury. Let's go in for the recross of the alleged hitman.
Is that Monica Sementilli was involved. That's the only thing you had to add. And if you added that, you were going to get a deal. You understood that, didn't you?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained. I'm sorry, there's one question, Jack.
I'm sorry, I was.
That's sustained.
Mr. Austin, is it your testimony that in October of last year, before the police came to you, that you did not know the name Monica Sementilli?
Objection, cumulative.
I'll allow this one question.
That I did not know?
Right. I asked you questions about, didn't they tell you it was Monica and so forth, and the DA just said, well, they didn't mention Monica's name, so I'm asking you, did you know Monica Sementilli was involved in the prosecution of this case when you met with the police in October of last year?
I knew she was involved. I did not know her name.
Well, let me remind you, Mr.
Well, I'm going to object to the start of that question.
I'm going to hear the question.
Isn't it true that following your returning to San Francisco, Alaska, or sometime after the murder took place, you spoke with Mr. Baker on the phone? Right? Three-way call. Right?
Objection, cumulative.
I'll allow this.
Are you asking me when I got back to Alaska?
Anytime after the murder.
I spoke to him on the phone.
And how long was that after the murder?
I called him as soon as I landed.
Okay. What'd you talk about?
I landed.
That's it?
That's it.
You didn't talk about Monica?
I landed.
And you spoke with Mr. Birdsong several times after the murder and before October of last year, correct?
Objection, cumulative and beyond the scope.
I'll allow this.
Can you ask the question again, please?
Between the time of the murder and October 2nd of last year, when you were brought up, or you were arrested in Vancouver and questioned by the police and the Perkins guy and the Stagel and so forth, had you spoken to Mr. Birdsong?
Prior to my arrest?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You spoke to him many times, correct?
Yes, sir.
About being safe and what to do and so forth and stay out of trouble and all sorts of advice, correct?
Yes, sir.
He didn't tell you that Monica Sementilli had been arrested along with Mr. Baker?
I found that out a while ago.
What's a while ago?
Shortly after they were arrested.
And they were arrested in 2017, correct?
I get a few months, yes.
So by the time you got up to Vancouver, they didn't have to tell you that Monica was the only one not convicted yet or was on trial. You knew that.
Objection Vegas of time.
So ruled.
I didn't know anything. I didn't pay attention to anything.
You did not know by October of 2024 that Monica Sementilli had been arrested with Mr. Baker and was facing trial here in Los Angeles for 7 years? You didn't know that?
I found that out after I was arrested, but I knew she was arrested prior.
Mr. Birdsong never spoke to you at all about Monica Sementilli?
Objection.
Between
One moment.
June of 2017 until you were arrested in 2024, he never spoke to you at all about Monica Sementilli?
I was told.
My question is, did he ever speak to you? It's non-responsive.
It's not responsive, Counsel.
This is a little sloppy here, but I get the point. And Monica is very reactive, isn't she? She makes a lot of faces and kind of furrows her brows. And sometimes at certain points we've seen her crying. Let's bring back in our legal analyst guest for some final thoughts before we hit the top of the hour. Ken and Kearney with us. Ken, before we get the weekend started, what are you thinking about this case? Today's the day the state's post-arrest. The defense gets its turn. They might call the lover, Robert Baker. That'll be interesting to talk next week about him. What impressions are you left with from Mr. Hitman?
So, Julie, I'd say that going into the weekend, first and foremost, it's good to be free, unlike the witness. But I also will say that based on the testimony that we've heard, I do believe that the defense has been able to set a narrative that he is not believable and that the prosecution is trying to hide the truth away from the jury. So the jury will go home this weekend with that on their minds, fresh, and I believe that that will play a key role into the final verdict. As far as what evidence do I believe that the defense needs to provide, I believe that essentially they just need to show that essentially there was really no communication ever between the defendant and this co-defendant. And so with that being said, he really has no real understanding of the hitman and who hired him. So I believe that may be enough to bring about reasonable doubt.
Sure, great points. Ken and Kearney, thank you for fighting for our freedom as well. When you said that, I have to thank you for your service.